I wasn't supposed to read that email, but it exposed everything. He had been using his laptop at our shared desk, replying to his mother on his personal email account, and he had stepped away to get a glass of water, and he had not closed the window, and I sat down to use the printer and the screen was just there. Open, complete, visible. The subject line was, Nadia situation. I was the Nadia situation. I didn't mean to read it. I read every single word. Nadia's firm is going to offer her a raise in the next couple months, Kevin had written. I overheard her talking to a colleague. It'll be substantial. She doesn't know I know yet. His mother, Gloria, had replied underneath. Perfect timing. The kitchen renovation needs to happen before summer. Make sure you frame it as being for the family. She'll agree if you say it's for the family. She always does. Kevin's final message in the thread. I know, I'll handle it. I read it twice. Then I took out my phone and photographed the screen. Then I sat very still for a moment, looking at the words, at she always does, at I'll handle it, at the entire quiet architecture of a plan built around me without me by two people who had never once wondered whether I might eventually want to be in the room when decisions about my own life were being made. I stood up. I went to the kitchen. I started making dinner. Kevin came home at 6:30. We ate. We talked about ordinary things. He laughed at something I said. I laughed at something he said. We washed dishes together, and he kissed the back of my neck the way he sometimes did. And I said goodnight and went to bed and lay there staring at the ceiling until his breathing slowed and steadied. Then I got up, went to the spare room, sat at my desk in the dark, and opened a blank document. And I started writing down everything. If you have ever discovered that the people closest to you were quietly engineering your life without bothering to include you in the conversation, hit that like button right now. Subscribe, because the raise they were counting on, I found a much better use for it. My name is Nadia Chowdhury. I'm 33 years old. I run a client portfolio in financial consulting that I built over 5 years through consistent, deliberate, unglamorous work. I am good at my job because I pay attention to details, because I read fine print, because I understand in my bones that numbers don't lie when people do, and that the truth of any arrangement lives not in what people say about it, but in what the records show. My records were about to show everything. I met Kevin at 27 at a professional conference, introduced through mutual colleagues. He was in project management, mid-level and stable, with ambitions he described with just enough specificity to seem real. He was attentive in the early months. He asked questions and remembered answers. He had the particular quality of making you feel seen. And when you are 27 and open to the possibility of someone, feeling seen is almost everything. We dated 2 years, got engaged, married when I was 29. His mother, Gloria, was present from the beginning. Not intrusively, not obviously. She was simply always there, in the way certain personalities are, at the center of every conversation, shaping the story of the family with the casual authority of someone who has never been challenged in that role. She had opinions about most things, and the skill of delivering them wrapped in warmth so they arrived feeling like advice rather than instruction. She loved Kevin with a completeness that left no room for examining whether that love always served him honestly. We bought a house together, mortgage in both names. The monthly numbers were workable on my salary and less comfortable on Kevin's, which had shifted since our wedding. He had left his stable project management role to launch an independent consulting venture. His reasoning was sound. The timing was not ideal. The venture moved more slowly than projected, then slower than that. I covered the difference. First few months, fine, we adjusted. I expanded my client load. Kevin worked on his business plan and made calls and attended meetings that sometimes produced leads and sometimes produced silence. I told myself this was temporary. You tell yourself that when you love someone and need to believe in the better version of the story. Temporary stretched into a year, then 2. Kevin's venture produced occasional projects, nothing consistent, nothing that changed our underlying math. My income, which had been growing steadily through those same years, quietly became the thing the entire household rested on. Not just our household. Gloria's expectations rested on it too. She began incorporating my financial stability into her plans, not overtly, just in the way she talked about future things, renovations and holidays and significant purchases, always with a tone that assumed the resources were there, always looking at me when she said it. When I delivered, she credited the family's good fortune. When I hesitated, she said something like, "Well, Nadia, you've always been so capable." Capable was the word she used to mean, "You'll handle it." At family dinners, she talked about Kevin's steadiness, his leadership, the strong foundation he had built. Relatives nodded. Kevin accepted it with the ease of someone who had heard it enough times to stop questioning it. I sat beside him and added to the mental record I had been keeping without entirely meaning to. And then I photographed an email on a Thursday at 2:14 in the afternoon, and the mental record became something with legal implications. That night, after Kevin fell asleep, I sat in the spare room and wrote down 5 years of financial history from memory. Every mortgage payment, every renovation, every household expense that had come from my account while we operated under the comfortable shared fiction that we were equal contributors. I was not writing from anger. I was writing from precision. I needed to see the shape of what I had been living inside. The shape was clarifying. The next morning, I called my accountant before Kevin was up. "I need to restructure my finances completely," I said. "Personal account, separate institution, full income redirect. I need it done this week." She had seen my numbers before. She didn't ask questions. I called my lawyer next. "I need to understand my position regarding the mortgage and any joint financial agreements." He told me to bring documentation. I told him I had a great deal of it. I gave myself 30 days. I opened the personal account, redirected my salary there, left the automatic transfers from the joint account running so nothing looked different on the surface. The mortgage kept moving, the utilities flowed, the subscriptions continued. Underneath, I was restructuring everything. My lawyer found something during the review that Gloria had never thought to consider. Several renovation agreements we had signed over the years, documents she had pushed through quickly for what she always called tax purposes, contained language that established my financial contribution to the property in explicit legal terms. She had signed them without thinking about the long term, because the short-term benefit was clear, and she had never once imagined I might become someone who read what I signed. I had always read what I signed. I just hadn't needed to use it until now. The raise was officially offered 6 weeks after the email. 30%. Expanded portfolio. It was significant, and I accepted it graciously. And then I went home and sat with the knowledge that this exact raise, this specific number, had already been allocated in someone else's renovation plan, without a single conversation with me. That evening, I asked Kevin one question. We were at the kitchen table after dinner, the ordinary end of an ordinary evening, and I said, "What do you think my work means to this family?" He looked up, a little surprised at the directness. Then he smiled, the comfortable smile of someone who has never had to sit with this question seriously. "It means we're stable," he said. "We're comfortable. We're a team." "We," I said. "Yeah," he said, easy. "We." I nodded. Then I put the folder on the table between us. He looked at it without touching it. Then he opened it. He went through it the way you go through something when you're hoping to find the error that makes it all make sense. There was no error. 5 years, organized by month, totals highlighted. His contribution column and mine, side by side. The columns were very different in size. He turned to the last page and found the screenshot of the email. He did not look up for a long time. "Where did you get this?" "Your laptop," I said. "You left it open." He set the folder down carefully. "Nadia." "I'm not angry," I said. It was true. What I was feeling was something colder and more specific than anger. It was the particular grief of realizing that what you believed was a partnership had only ever been a partnership from one direction. "I can explain." "You don't need to," I said. "I understand exactly what it is." I told him about the account restructuring. I told him the automatic transfers would continue through the end of the month and then stop. I told him my lawyer would be in touch about the financial review. He stared at me. "You planned all of this?" "You gave me a reason to," I said. Gloria called that night. The managed version of her voice was operating at full capacity. "Nadia, I think there's been a misunderstanding about some private messages." "No misunderstanding," I said. "Complete clarity, actually. We were simply discussing family finances. And now I'm discussing mine," I said. "My lawyer will be reaching out about the property agreements. Have a good evening, Gloria." The week that followed was a series of attempts to reframe, minimize, and re-access me through various emotional doors that I had quietly closed. Gloria tried sympathy, reasonableness, guilt, an attempt to suggest that planning around my income without informing me was actually a sign of how much they counted on me, as though dependence and respect were the same thing. They are not the same thing, not even close. My lawyer confirmed what I had already understood about the property agreements. The language was clear. My contributions had established a legal position that was difficult to dispute. Kevin didn't fight it unfairly. I think seeing the email through my eyes, understanding what it looked like from where I was standing, had done something real to him. He was quieter in our final conversations, more honest, finally, than he had been when honesty was optional. We separated. The house sold, the equity was divided fairly. My lawyer made absolutely certain of that. Gloria stopped hosting the large gatherings she had been famous for. Kevin moved into a smaller apartment. My new place is in a neighborhood I had always wanted to live in but had never quite prioritized because proximity to Kevin's family had always come first. The raise went into my personal account. I did not renovate anyone's kitchen. My apartment has morning light through the east window, a coffee table I actually like, a closet organized exactly the way I want it, silence that belongs to me in a way no silence ever did in that house. Kevin sent a message months later, thoughtful. He said he had spent a lot of time examining what he had accepted without looking at, and that he was sorry he let the story his mother told become the story he lived by. I read it. I appreciated the honesty. I didn't reply at length because some things don't need a reply. They need to be heard, and then they need to be released. Here is what 5 years of invisible labor and one accidental email taught me. The most dangerous arrangement is not the one where someone takes from you openly. Open taking can be confronted. The most dangerous arrangement is the one where your generosity becomes so expected that it stops being seen as generosity at all. It becomes assumption, and assumptions never come with gratitude. The moment I took my income back, the moment I stopped being available to be handled, everything rebalanced. Not easily, not without grief, but accurately, and I had always been better at accuracy than anything else. If this story hits somewhere real, tell me in the comments right now. Have you ever found out that someone was making plans about your life without you? What did you do the moment you found out?